On this radio right here, I got a few things I want to tackle right away before I make too much of a breakdown. The AM light, the lower sideband light are not working. The clock is jammed. So before I leave this plugged in for long periods of time and burn up the motor any more than it might already be, I'm going to go ahead and just dive into this one and at least maybe unhook the clock or try to get the clock unjammed. And then work on these lights, clean the pots. So far the radio has worked pretty good out of the box on AM, sideband's off frequency, but these are really touchy. These are not fun to align, and I'll get into that later. But as for now, I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of maintenance before I do my usual see what's wrong with it and suggestion section. Well, another reason I can't get too far into this one, we're on our 2-meter check-in right now, but these things are fun. These are metal, that's metal. Shield it quite well, but we'll get a little farther into it here. About my time to check in here in a second, so I'll get back to this one when I can. Maybe I've got the clock unstuck, but you notice these capacitors, how they're double teamed in parallel. Replace those with a single 10,000. It'll fit right in that bracket. So that's one tip in these that's kind of weird. I don't think I'm going to totally recap this one yet. I'm going to use it for a while. I'm going to run it through alignment. I'm going to change the big caps. I'm going to look for any 10 volt or low voltage caps and see what I find. But so far nothing's leaking. I don't see any messes on the board, but it's got to go. These are some of the coolest clocks ever. An honest to God flip clock. Love it. Audio 1 2 3. Hello. Audio 1 2 3. Hello. Testing 1 2 3. Love it. Got all the lights working now. There's a little dim bulb down there. But, that is sweet. It's going to flip again here in a second. Seems to be pretty accurate. I got the motor unseized. Love it. I'm gonna see one of these flip clocks. I think of Back to the Future. Marty's old clock radio. There we go. Try to find the power button. She pretty. Beautiful. This thing kept time all night. Perfect.
I've never done that before, no. What in the world's going on? He's saying, little spaceman. Walked in the bathroom today. I'd mopped her before that. Mopped the bathroom floor, the kitchen, living room, another room, mopped them all. And I walked in the bathroom, there's a trail going from the bathroom door to the commode. Wasn't nothing but a trail of blood. Oh. Well, hell, I can't find anything. I don't know what it is. Well, been out here almost 25 years. Never had nothing tear a screen out. And been close to a week ago now.
Well, it's been a few days since I unboxed this one and got it working. Wasn't much to it. I did get the clock working. I'm still have to go through the alignment. I just really hate to align these. If you've ever done a 132 or a 135 XLR, I think what a Baron, a couple other ones, but this is a very rare type of board. It's made by Toshiba in Japan. I did change a couple caps while I was in there fixing the clock, but I did not do a full recap, in which this is definitely in need of. See the flip clock work in there. I replaced all of these lights here with LEDs and also a little cap over them to make them not too bright. Only this one worked when I got it, so I changed all of these. I did put an LED, a socketed LED in here. If you ever want to put the old 12-volt bulb back in, a twist bulb, I kind of made a bulb. I took a blown bulb, broke the glass, took all the guts out of it, and put an automotive type flat LED in its place. But it's still socketed. I can twist that in and out. I soldered it into the light bulb's case, so it is a pretty nice unit. The skip's kind of not there today, but I noticed that the clarifier has to be right about here to be tuned in, and the transmit's pretty far off, so I think I'm going to finish the recap. A tip on these: be very careful recapping. Experiment a little bit. Get your temperature on your soldering station just right. All right, there goes. You want to get your temperature just right. This is a dual layer board. And sometimes when you have one of these that's dead, it could be due to a solder via that connects both sides of the board together. But also your capacitors when you're taking them in and out. You need to use a lot of good flex, a good solder sucker or desolder station, get all the solder out of the holes, get the component out, reflex it, even on both sides if you can, and get your temperature just right, because you want to flow. You want that solder to wick up through both sides of the board, because that's what connects one side to the other. And if you've ever tried to recap one of these dual layer boards and your radio don't work when you're done, that's why. If you're very inexperienced with recapping and you're doing one like this, I would just recap 2 or 3 at a time, turn it back on, make sure it works. Keep your hands away from this area. Unlike more modern radios, where all the high voltage stuff is on the bottom and on the top is only DC, on this one here, you have live 110, 120 right here all the time. And a lot of people like to lean their hands on the case when they're aligning stuff. Well, you take your hand, you lean it here to align something, you're going to get a good shot. So keep that in mind if you ever work on a 135 or a 135 XLR or something from this vintage. Especially ones with actual flip clocks. They tend to have the 110 totally exposed here. You really need to watch yourself. But I'm going to go ahead and give this a shot, a recap, and this will take me forever. It's one of the reasons this video is kind of come and gone. I spent probably 2 or 3 hours getting the clock working, and I did that off camera because it was a mess. I actually had to dissolve all the old grease in the motor and put some silicone grease in there, or silicone spray in there, something non-conductive, and get that freed up. All the gears were kind of seized. One of them broke on the shaft where the plastic glues to the metal. Oh, it was a nightmare. But I did all that off camera. I am considering, if I ever get another one with a clock like this, just making a video about how to repair the clock. But it's a lot of stuff to cut out of there. It took me a lot of time. I may just try running through the alignment on this and just going through the list of 10-volt caps, because all in all, she works pretty good. Let's put it on a useless channel 6 here. I've got my meter here on the 20-watt scale. This one's showing 3. It's really right at 4. Audio, 1, 2, 3, audio. That is excellent for a radio of this vintage. Audio, 1, 2, 3. If you put it in sideband, it's right around 12 watts though. It doesn't exceed that. Audio, 1, 2, 3. Check, 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 check. She's right at 12. AM though is pretty aggressive. Audio, 1, 2, 3, audio. I'm tempted to leave it alone, but you know me, if you've watched my channel, I'm a perfectionist, so I end up recapping and totally restoring something. And it leads down a rabbit hole, but when I get to the alignment section, this is more of a talky video. Probably like Mike's radio repair, I do apologize, but I had to print off a Sam's manual. I couldn't find my original. But when you look through the alignment procedure, this thing is a freaking mess. Because you do your AEM, upper sideband, everything with your clarifier centered. Here, upper sideband, adjust for this. Upper sideband channel 1, adjust this. AEM, blah, blah, blah. Now, you're going to notice on here, sometimes it says mid-range, sometimes it doesn't. Let's see. Where is it here? Because they're going to want you to turn this all the way, one way, this way, that way. It gets kind of crazy. If you've ever aligned one of these, some people actually unhook their clarifier to do it because it's such a pain. See, look right here. Voice lock mid-range, clarifier mid-range, voice lock fully clockwise, and adjust this. Then you got to keep doing a little dance back and forth between middle and fully clockwise to get your clarifier centered. Unlocking a clarifier on this is a real pain in the butt. And it says here 15-minute warm-up. That's what cover's on. I'm letting it warm up now, but it takes a while to take the covers off. But if you've ever aligned one of these and it's made your hair fall out, don't feel bad. You're not the only one. Receiver and everything else is pretty straightforward. But part of the alignment issue on this is this doesn't have a conventional PLL chip. It has separate integrated circuits, separate. It's like when you're going through this, it's like you're doing different phases of the PLL circuit. Instead of just having one PLL chip where you align your frequency centered on your 3 different modes and then you do it again for receive. No. This one, you're actually aligning different stages of the PLL. It's kind of like an early PLL, like some of the Royce radios, where they got the PLL in the can. So, I guess I've talked enough on this video, but like I said, this is probably a talky video. I'm going to go through and see what I can run into. Well, here's what it looks like from behind. You can see where I did those LEDs, and this is still an LED. But it's in, I can actually remove this and twist it right out and put a regular bulb back in there. This is a flat LED. See, this is your dual layer circuit board. And I did replace some of the filter caps here and the main filter cap. And back in the old days, they would actually stack a 4700 and a 2200. I just put a 10,000 in there because it fits right in place of it. This is the clock that gave me all the trouble. As you can see, the plastic's cracked on it because it was a real pain in the butt to get apart. But this is actually a pretty small board. See how the channel selector is. But see, it's a real pain to recap. There's a lot of stuff up in here, and like I say, this is dual layer, so this is really hard to play with. If you need to clean your controls, you actually have to take all your knobs off, take all the nuts off, take the bottom off and remove it. It's all on a board down in there. Then you can clean it. So see, all the alignment stuff is like really buried back in there. See, we're looking at the back of the radio, but see, here's your live 120. If you rest your hand across this to align something, you're going to get a real fun shock. Need to try to put you something over here, a piece of silicone mouse pad or something, rubberized, put something over here so you do not touch this. I may just try to align this. These old Japanese caps from 40 years ago, they usually don't go as bad like the stuff made in the 90s. As long as you don't see anything leaking. I do see some solder flux down in here. That's where this is a dual layer board. And you can actually see some bumps where there's like a through hole via. If you ever have one of these that's not working right, go touch those up with solder. But I guess I'll give it a the old college try. Some of these you even have to take the face off to get to the caps in the front. There's stuff just buried back in here. Since this one is working real good, I may just turn it on and do an alignment and wait to recap it until something fails down the road. So also be a testament to you know, how good these caps actually are from Japan. I mean, I'm pretty sure these are name brand, Nichicon or Rubicon or something, but see, there's a lot of 16 volt ones. Those are probably okay. I'm gonna look through my list and check for 10 volt ones in here, but that could be why it's out of alignment a little bit. One of these caps is a little bit out of spec, but I'm just gonna try to align it first because I have to do that anyway. Let me put this top cover back on it. As you can see, this thing's built like a brick shit house, and these fingers have to touch this front because this is not plastic like a 142 or a 2000. This is metal. So this is part of your shielding. And you'll also notice when you go to align one of these, sometimes they're in spec with the cover off, and you put the cover back on and it drifts, you know, out of spec. So it's a real good song and dance. I'm just going to go ahead and shoot for an alignment and see if I need to recap or not, because this one looks like it's been stored well. I don't see any rust. I don't see any moisture damage. I don't see a lot of hours of use on it. And I think that's why the clock was seized up, just where it was unplugged for so long. Best thing you can do if you get one of these clocks working and you like the radio, don't just put it on your shelf here. Keep this in, plugged in, keep the clock going. I don't care. Because once you let it seize for a year or two, you're going to have to get back in there on the gears again, and it ain't no fun. So I'm going to go ahead and play with the alignment and pray. Well, I've done a very close inspection of all the caps and vias. I went ahead and just did an alignment on it. Got the clarifier centered, got transmit frequency centered up again. These are super, super touchy. If I had one that was a basket case, I might go over all that it takes to really align one, but I'm just gonna see that piece of that clock. Here's the other part of it, glued together, and the plastic's brittle. But I might just call that a day on this one. This one turned out, it was just slightly off alignment. It didn't take much to put it up to snuff. And as you saw earlier, it's operating excellently. Transmit power, receive. Guess I'll just put it back together. I think I'm gonna ride this out. I've had this actually in my basement turned on for a week or two since I received it. And of course sideband was off frequency, but I've just been using it on AM nightly with no issue at all. So I'm really, you know, impressed with the way this one was kept and how nice it is. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about this one. I'm gonna have to find something else to tear into. Maybe hook up a rig here, do like a brief, you know, instruction how to do this or that, or fix solder traces or something. I've kind of run out of equipment. You know, all my stuff's in pretty good shape right now. And I've slowed down on the eBay because, the prices are crazy. The shippers suck. This guy here was outstanding though, but got a lot going on outside of YouTube right now. I might expand my videos to cover some other stuff. But I'm really thinking about how to do some how-to type of videos. It's, you know, it's not easy to take this through the, you know, to fruition, every single part that I change. I mean, something like this would probably take 6 hours to recap, and it would be boring to watch me for 6 hours. It's probably boring enough to hear me talk all the time, but I'm thinking about doing one about reviewing some of these cheap solder stations and showing you how to use it if you're new, you know, never dealt with stuff like that, you know, why you need a hot air station even if you're not going to work on surface mount. It does make big stuff, you know, easier to get off the board if you can heat from the bottom. It's good for doing your heat shrink. It's good for a lot of stuff, but I think on this one here, it's in such good shape, I'm just going to put the covers back on for now and call this one good.